Welcome back to Reviewia Talks. So today's episode is specifically relevant for startup entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs, founders who are running a small to mid-sized company. And let's say if you are a company which is in its early stage, or now you are on your growth path, you want to add to your workforce, you want to hire good talent. My message today is going to be very relevant for such companies. Now, once you are on a growth trajectory and you see that your business is going to grow, it is very, very important that you hire the right kind of talent. However, being an early stage company, being a not so well known company, makes it challenging for you to attract the right kind of candidates, because it is not just about being competitive when it comes to compensation. It is the entire experience, the entire credibility that you build in front of your candidates that will ensure whether the kind of candidates that you want, they eventually join your organization or not. And it's a war out there. Good talent is at a premium. You are competing with top organizations, with great brands, with great compensation packages, very, very well laid out career paths, amazing employee benefits, and all of that. So in this war, how do you win over good talent? So today's talk is about that. So I'm going to talk about a few things that you can do as a startup to make a good impression and build credibility in eyes of those sought after candidates, and eventually have them be part of your team. The first thing that you can do easily, and this is where a lot of big companies falter, is stick to your schedules. Honor the interview schedules. If invariably in large organizations, for some reason or the other, most interviews don't start on time. But you being a startup, you can very easily kill this issue and start the interviews whenever you have committed that the interview will start. So that gives a positive impression to start with, that you're an organization which values the candidate's time, and it's a low hanging fruit, right? You can do it very, very easily. The other thing is, you should have a fairly well thought out interview process. It shouldn't look as if it's a random impromptu decision that you have one round and then you think what to do next, and then you get another person in who does whatever he or she does in terms of evaluating the candidate. If you demonstrate that you have put in your thought, you have a process, you are clear about what you want to assess the candidate on, then that also goes a long way in creating an impression about your organization that you're a fairly well organized outfit, and you know what you're looking for when you are looking to hire talent. Again, most organizations which are established have this in place. So you got to kind of be at par when it comes to having a fairly consistent interview process. The other thing, which is in fact very important for startups, is that the founders or the CEO personally meets these candidates. I would personally recommend, if you're a startup founder, you should ideally hire the first 80 to 100 employees personally, which means you should personally interview at least the first 80 to 100 employees. If that is too much of a stretch, at least for the first 50 employees that you hire, the founders got to meet the candidates. The founders have to be the decision makers in the selection process. Not only does it give a positive impression to the candidate that top leadership is involved, they feel important. They also kind of understand from the founder about the vision and the future of the company. So all those uncertainties, questions that the candidates might have in their mind, they get clarified directly by the founder or the CEO. It also ensures that as an organization, you don't make hiring mistakes, because those can cost you very dearly, especially at the early stages of growth. You want to get hiring right. And it is very important that all the key stakeholders are part of the process, and the founder is, pretty much the biggest stakeholder, so he or she needs to be an active participant in the hiring exercise, at least for the first 50 employees. All right, so it's a double whammy. It's a benefit in terms of creating a positive impression in the eyes of the candidate. It also ensures that you are ending up hiring the right kind of candidate and there are no hiring errors. The other thing is, if you're a startup and you don't have too much of a, you know, brand when it comes to employer branding, people don't know about you. Good candidates are looking for more comfort, more data points, which they will use to make a decision in your favor. So it always helps if you can get few more members, like multiple members, to be part of the interaction process. It shouldn't be a one person one interaction exercise. Ideally, if a candidate is moving forward and you like the way the candidate is progressing, it makes sense that you have the candidate interact with 2 3 key members of your team, maybe somebody at a supervisory level, but also a good idea to have one or two people at a peer level to have an interaction with such a candidate. That also kind of gives comfort, builds more credibility, creates a good impression, about the process itself. So these are points that you can earn while competing for top talent. While competing for top talent, which potentially can go to larger organizations. The one big thing where you can make a really big impression is by moving quickly. Invariably, for larger organizations, even for a very junior role, they end up taking at least 1 month to complete the interview process and finally arriving at a decision. As a startup, you can make a brilliant impression if you can at least verbally communicate the selection of the candidate the same day itself. Once you have taken the decision, maybe the same day in the evening, you can confirm that you have zeroed down on the candidate by giving him or her a call or an email. That'll make a very good impression. It'll also ensure that you're ahead of the game when it comes to speed. And as a follow up to that, you should personally set a target to roll out a formal offer within the next 48 to 72 hours. 72 hours is like the outer. Ideally, within the next 2 days, you should be able to roll out a formal offer. If you do that, you have pretty much got a head start of almost 25 days. If you're competing with a large organization, which this candidate might be interviewing with. So this is your big advantage. Startups are supposed to be nimble, swift, and you can do this. You will be able to also ensure that you have demonstrated the fact that you are a swift organization in the eyes of the candidate. The candidate knows that yes, you guys mean business, you can move quickly, things do move fast, and there is no bureaucracy in this setup, which typically is the case in large organizations. Large companies become bureaucratic over a period of time because of their size. There are too many approvals, too many people involved. There is hardly any scope that a lot of people have to take decisions on their own or on the fly. So the speed of decision making and rolling out an offer is something that startups or young companies can do a much better job compared to the established organizations. So these are the points which will go a long way in you getting a head start and competing successfully most times in attracting, engaging, and finally hiring a candidate, which might potentially have another offer or is looking for a job opportunity in large organizations. However, there is many a slip between the cup and the lip, which means once you've rolled out the offer, the candidate has accepted the offer, that's not good enough. Even during the notice period, you need to figure out that you are engaging with the candidate. And this is again a big area. A lot of large organizations don't have the mechanism to effectively engage with candidates, when they are serving their notice period, and they end up losing that candidate to other employment opportunities. So figure out a mechanism. Maybe you can encourage some of your colleagues who have interacted with that candidate to send an informal email saying, hey, we are looking forward to having you be part of our team. Create a cadence of somebody from your recruitment or HR team getting in touch, doing a quick phone call every 2 weeks or 3 weeks to say, okay, this is what is happening in our organization, and this is where you will fit in. Some ideas about sending a photograph of a desk that you have identified for this employee. Those things will go a long way in kind of ensuring that you have very limited offer drops. Okay. And as I said, these are areas where most large organizations don't do a good job because of bureaucracy, because of too much of hiring that they do, because of lack of reliable mechanism, and a whole list of reasons. So if you do these things, there's a pretty good chance that you'll be able to successfully compete for top talent in the market. I hope this message was useful to our viewers. Thank you so much for listening in, and have a good day.